There you go, guys. Another wee update for this week that I've got off. I've just temporarily put the door rubbers back and run all the doors. I actually don't have that one, but I haven't got there yet. But I'm just having a quick look just to see how fussy I have to get and how far back, if you know what I mean. So, like, when you pull the door rubber off, okay, that's probably out. We're talking 15, 16 mil, not quite 3/4 of an inch, but, somewhere between half and 3/4 of an inch, roughly, without getting super accurate, but just as a general guide. So I'm just trying to see how, where I've got bits of filler in here where I've, smeared it over these seams and joins to try and blend them out. Just how fussy and how far back I have to get, because I need to put a little bit more filler in here, but there's no point putting the filler in underneath here because it's never seen once the car's back together. I'll smear it in there a little bit, but I'm not going to get real nitty gritty in there, if you know what I mean. So that's sort of what I'm doing here. I'm just having because I've given it the bulk of it a reasonable rub back. A few spots that need a bit more of a hard rub back and clean up, but I'm just getting a general look at the moment. And the other thing I've been doing, I've sort of just started sanding it around here and in the engine bay, and I actually popped the heads and took my the start of my mock-up headers off and all that sort of stuff off, so I can get in here and do a bit more sanding and get a bit more cleaned up, because I'm just with the lack of really available funds, I just haven't had enough money to get back in there and sort of get that a bit more sorted. So I'm not really panicking, so I can get in here and clean this up a bit more. Once I've got those headers reasonably mocked up, hopefully I'm not going to have to really do a lot of welding in here. Well, really I shouldn't. Once, I've got them reasonably well sort of situated, and we can bolt all that stuff back in there, and I can have a bit more of a workout, and I can work out how much I've got to tweak, because they work quite tight in here, but those angles aren't quite right. Those tubes, instead of being 90, it might need to be 92 or 93, just to get that bit more clearance, and that's all fine tuning when you're getting back into the steel. But anyway, get back to where I was here. Now what I've done is I've rubbed the top of this guard back, well, not here, but across this piece, trying to flatten it out. And then what I did is I just guide coated it a few minutes ago, and I basically went back through here and just give it another rub. So I guide coat it just before I started getting through into the steel sort of stage here. But anyway, when you have a look here now, you can see that I've come into steel, and just, in spots around it, it's just little black speckles from the guide coat. And it's just very, very lightly in here. Like, it's not deep, but just very light speckles. So obviously it needs a wee bit more material in here. Another couple of layers of high build, will definitely take that up. And you shouldn't get back down to this, or if you do, it's very minimal, and that's just before your final block back before you paint. You've just got to mist a bit over there and just be very careful and not rub back through your steel before you paint. But again here, I'm come up against filler, but and there's still a few marks in there, but out in there, I can feel with my finger, there's quite a wee mark in that one, So maybe the paint would probably take that up, but I could probably just smear just a wee squeak of that dolphin glaze in there just to get rid of that before I do put any primer over it. But down through here, you can see that it's just still motley, and I can just sort of feel it. But I don't want to sand too much more out of here. I could probably just take a little bit more out. But, I'm steel across this edge, so, I don't want to sand too much more and then keep bringing that steel edge back, because then I'm going to end up with an edge. So I'd rather put another couple of coats over it and block it back again just before I hit the steel, and that's not going to be there. So that's the plan, and in here, it's motley in here, but I'm touching steel here, and I'm touching steel back off this edge. And it's sort of slowly getting worse in here, and this is quite, I can sort of just feel that still a bit of pitting in there, You know, and same through here, like it's just a little bit of pitting. You know, and back down through here, like I can probably block a wee bit more of this out because I'm not rounding down to steel just in this area. And also, when I'm sanding, you know, as I'm blocking down, what I'm doing is I'm sanding sort of down and across the one way for a start off, and then I'll come back along and I'll do the opposite way. So you're doing sort of like a cross pattern or an X pattern all the time. Because when you sand backwards and forwards like that all the time, okay, that works quite good, but you end up with little wee, I suppose, what you call tracks in your sanding, and you got to be careful you're not trying to do that too much. You know, you're sort of sanding long and cross, so you end up with a nice, even, smooth. Because it's very easy to just go straight backwards and forwards, and you end up with like lines in a road. You know, as vehicles driving down that road, you always end up with lines. Or if you sand too much, just straight backwards and forwards, you can end up with just very faint lines, you know, that run in your panel because you might have sort of sanded like that, and you think, oh yeah, got that right, and then you come over here, but what you've done, you've sanded a line down through here, and a line down through there from where where your block's been sitting. So if you're sanding across like that, and then like that, you don't end up with that problem. Well, you shouldn't do, if you know what I mean. So you just take your time slowly, and I'm trying to get a nice, clean, crisp edge on that line. So basically, don't go over that, just sand up and over it, and don't roll over, just keep it nice and flat as you come across it. So when you got that right, and you're happy, or as far as you're going to go for this step, then to come along, and I'm about to come along here, and I'll start doing that, but I won't go past this edge either, this bottom edge, because then I'm trying to get these edges real nice and clean and sharp, or as sharp as I can get them, and as straight as I can get them. Because what I'm doing is, as I'm coming along there and sanding it off, it's straightening that edge up. So there might be just, you know, in the steel, there could be just a gentle little wave in there, but with the thickness of the material or the paint, you're straightening that out. So if you roll over, you're not straightening that out. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably just a little tip for you. You know, and it's the same with all these sorts of edges, you know. Try not to roll over them too much. And like edges like this, you know, try not to roll over them when you're sanding. Like, I know it's hard in these sorts of spots, but try not to roll over them. You're better off to go like that, and then when you get down right into your your final block, you might just gently rub, just a real light gentle rub with a bit of 500 or a bit of 600, just to take any real super sharpness off, if you mean. So you just got that nice little soft edge. So that's sort of, I suppose, a little tip for you, you know. And if I done anything much else, I put that putty in there that I showed you yesterday, and I've given that a bit more of a rub back. I need to put a little bit more in here, so I just didn't have enough. But it's basically almost ready again for another prime, but as I said, like, I've run out, so I'm going to have to wait till I get paid again to get into the shops to get another 4 litres. I'm going to try and get it green, or, you know, a darkish sort of green if I can. If I can pick up a green, that'll give me a change between the two colours, so I can see where I'm coming. When I'm blocking back, I can see how far through I'm coming, which is quite handy too. You know, since I can sort of see and think, well, you know, I'm getting back down to that grey again, or, you know, I might need a little bit more material on instead of blocking hard back. You know, especially if I know, like, sort of in these areas, you know, if I'm coming back through to grey or something like that, in spots, you know, like I know I'm getting close to steel again, so that's quite a good guide too. So that's why I want to change my colour, but also my colour's going to be that poison ivy green at this stage, so that also gives me a colour to help build the paint up onto. Like, it's going to cover a bit faster with those first couple of coats and colour up easier. So that's what we're up to at the moment. I can't think of anything else to tell you. Not at this stage anyway. So that's about where we're at. So I'll keep blocking here, and I might just show you again once I've sort of sanded that edge off, and I might do the whole guard, you know, do it in stages and just show you a couple of minutes at a time, just as I'm sort of blocking back through the stages, and just to show you how that guard's coming up, because this is the first real nitty gritty I've got into actually like getting the right into the guide coat and just blocking each panel piece like real fussy. You know what I mean? So we'll leave it at that, and I'll get back to you shortly, hopefully, with another wee update and show you that edge. All right, cheers. All right, back again. I don't know how well we can see this, but just get nice and close, maybe. You just see in places that black still, like, you know, I haven't quite seen it in here enough because it's a little bit motley just on the edge, but get down here, you know, you can see that quite clearly. And what I've done, I was just rubbed around this edge a little bit just to try and make sure this line's reasonably sharp, and for some reason it sort of wanders off and goes back, but this has never been hit, so I think that's just imperfection from factory. So yeah, I'm just, as you can see, that's what I was sort of talking about with that black line, you know, with the line. It's not there in places, but you know, I've done as good as I can to sort of try and leave it there and try and get that piece nice and smooth. Okay, yeah, it needs a little bit more sanding yet, like, you know, I haven't got right down into here, but I've touched a little bit of steel on that edge, but I can get the worst of that. You know, and I've still got to go back down in here. So yeah, you get the gist of what I'm doing. You know, sort of doing each area at a time and get it nice flat and trying to get that nice clean edge. You know, because I haven't sanded any of this, so you can see that edge anyway. It's not sanded, but you know, that gives me a real good guide, and hopefully that's gonna be pretty flat through there. You know, it feels pretty good. You know, and when I give it another prime, you know, that's just going to give me even, you know, a bit more material to sand it real, to get it nice and smooth. So that's sort of where I'm heading. It just gives you, you know, a good idea. So obviously got to go around this front edge and everything, but I'm gonna go over and do the same on this side now. So I'm gonna block all this back. I'll start with the top. Now I've given it a bit of a rub through there, most of it earlier on, just to get rid of the worst of the orange peel out of the grey, you know, from the initial spraying. But I'm going to go through now and give it a rub and see what it looks like, you know. So I might do the same here, and then once I've given this a rub back, I'll sort of show you again, and just, you know, because these weren't bad, but you know, at some point I think they must have originally had mirrors out on the guards on this car for some reason. So like there was the rust damage or pitting from that, so that's sort of why there's a bit of filler in there, because it was sort of, they'd been sort of nicely knocked a couple of times and had been twisted, so I'd knocked that down, and then I've had the little repairs that we've done in amongst places. So the tops of those guards definitely aren't perfect, but the more we block them back, the better they're going to get. And there was a little dent in here where I put a bit of that, little bit of that dolphin glaze in. So I've just put the guide coat over top of that, where I sort of sanded the worst of that off. So when I rub it back, I can see if I need any more, or whether, you know, a good couple of coats of high build will get rid of it. So I'll stop here again, and we'll do some blocking, and give you another shot on this side. Alrighty, see you shortly. Right, how you going? Look, I just decided I'll give this a rub on camera and sort of show you what I'm doing. Give you a real good sort of shot what I'm doing. So this is basically how I'm attacking it. Now I've got a nice wee flexible light block here. Because definitely don't want to use your fingers, because all you do is create tracks in it. So your block's doing work. I'm just trying to hold a little bit of shape to run with the curve of the panel, because it's definitely not, if you look down there, it's got a very, very slight curve in it, but by the time it gets to the other end, it starts curving the other way. So it helps to have like a nice little light flexible block. And then by the time I get to this end, I can push the block the other way a wee bit. I can change the shape of my block. No worries at all. So I run it that way. Now I'll try to go back across the other way now. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep that in shot and look at it when look past the view, the screen of my camera, and try not to shake too much. So you can see with a couple passes now, give that a bit of a laugh. Right, you can see with a couple passes now, it's not bad flat down here. Like it's pretty flat, pretty smooth. And as we get up further, now it's going to need quite a bit more blocking. You know, you can see where it's, especially like some bits of here, like, you know, you can see that that's quite grey. So I've sanded that off, but in the mix here, like it's still needs quite a lot more blocking. But it's like it's not real bad, but you know, you obviously there's quite a lot of highs in the bits of filler and bits and pieces. You know, and you can see in here too, like I've got a bit of filler. You can see the ring around it a little bit, and in here, you know, where there's bits and low. So I'll keep blocking. I'll turn this off now, and I'll keep blocking and see if I can get this real clean and see how we come up. So you get a bit of a general idea there. How so, you know, do a couple passes one way and then a couple passes the other direction with that X sort of pattern, sort of sanding. So I'll pause this and we'll come back to you in a couple of minutes and we'll give you another good shot of that. Right, back again. I've just finished blocking this. It's about as much as I'm going to do, I think. Now as you can see, like the other side, there's quite a lot of black from the guide coat. Now obviously this needs, to be honest, it probably needs, I reckon, 3 good thick coats through here. Like it's in a few spots there's the odd high spot, you know, and there's no point trying to get these marks out when this is high. So and it's not real ugly high, you know, like it's not real but it's definitely no point going any further. Basically what it needs is a real good, you know, another real good 2 or 3 real good thick coats, and we'll get that out, and we'll better block any other, because you know, you can still feel it's wavy in here, you know, from these black marks. So I think, you know, that's going to come out with those extra couple of coats, extra couple of 3 coats. It's definitely not perfect. It's actually worse than the other one, I think, along here. But we'll get it. You know, it's just might mean an extra coat or 2, just to help fill those lower spots without trying to get aggressive and knock these down, because they don't really need knocked down, if you know what I mean. They're not real sharp. They're just a little bit high in spots. Down this end's not quite so bad, but where those, as I said, where those, I reckon those mirrors have been years ago, you know, probably when it was new or something. You know, that's a little bit rough, where I've had put a bit of filler in there, and it's just not quite enough in spots. But again, it doesn't feel like deep enough or sharp enough or thick enough to worry about putting any of that dolphin glaze in. It's going to come out with paint. Yeah, probably, except for maybe there's a little mark there, but that's not bad. Like, that's something I can just smear a little bit over that edge and sand that off. But you can see, you know, where that guide coat comes in real handy, and that X pattern sanding, you know, gets it out. Now, it probably doesn't hurt occasionally, like, you know, where you get like this, you know, and you do want to run backwards and forwards a couple of times, you know, but as long as you're not doing it all the time. because that's curved. Like I jumped to a slightly thicker block before, just to get a little bit more pressure in there, just to try and get a little bit extra material out of that to get the worst of that black out. You know, and it probably doesn't hurt to do the odd long sweep, you know, just straight sweep occasionally, just that low, but try and keep it going backwards and forwards across itself, so you get that nice, real even flat surface as much as you can. I know it's awkward sometimes in those slightly curved areas, but sort of do your best you can. You know, the longer, bigger, flat panels, you know, it doesn't matter much. You know, if you're going like that and then going like that, it's a nice, big, easy, open, flat panel, like it's a piece of cake. And like that boot lid was a piece of cake. It's just a lot of blocking to get it all down to the one level. But no, I'm pretty, you know, I wouldn't say I was happy, but I'm pretty glad with the progress. Like I can see it's not going to take a lot of extra, you know, paint. You know, and I'm probably only going to have to flicker, you know, unless there's anything else that's bad anywhere. And I'm probably going to get away with a couple of coats on most of the panel, and then just when I come back across, you know, just give it an extra 1 or 2 passes, you know, just along that, just to get that bit extra material across. And the same with the top of that one, you know. But once I finish blocking back the whole guards, we can see whether there is any spots that needs, you know, maybe the extra pass just to fill the odd, you know, just a little wave or marking. But generally, you know, we're not far away at all. So I'll do a bit more and we'll get back to you. Alright, cheers.